West Show.
We were actually talking about head knocks from the week before, and you had a very strong stance about it's all about accidents. It's just part of the game. You still feeling the same after what happened on Thursday night, Si? You still accidents happen, man. All part of the game.
Straight into that, straight into that. Yeah, bro. I still stand by it. I still think that a lot of these head-on collisions are accidents, bro. But without trying to sound biased or anything, man, I thought the way that May came in on Walsh had no time to react whatsoever, bro. And we see that a lot from wingers coming into fullbacks, but he did that from centre. So I think the time was even less for him to react. But man, I still think as a defender in that situation, when you're coming in and trying to make trying to stop the fullback getting the ball, I think you're responsible because the ball carrier just in that instance had no time to react, bro. A lot of the time, ball carrier and defenders coming together, they're both 50-50 responsible, and you can say 9 times out of 10 it's accidental. But in that instance, when and Walsh not even fucking looking at him, and that's a blindside shot. So it's like, how can you put the fault at with Reece Walsh, the defender, which was May? He came in, bro, from a far way out, and I know the intent was not to cause a head collision, but I just think that he had time, even though he was running full tilt, he had time to drop the shoulder. And I just thought he was a little bit too upright and if anything, reckless, bro. But fuck, he didn't even get a chance, bro. So what does that mean, bro? So that just rubbishes my claim. Or otherwise, the NRL will shit or Panther protected species. I don't know.
So going to you, Stace, because I guess in terms of these conversations, especially on the counter ruck, you guys very different in Union, and I mentioned last week I probably don't want to see the game going the same way, but that duty of care that they talk about, that's something that Union's been pushing for a very long time now. That you've got the mouth guards.
How many weeks would he got in Union, Stace?
Oh, he would have got a lot, and they've got similar rules, similar to what you mentioned, Si, where the onus is really on the defender, because like you say, the attack hasn't got any time to make any adjustments, and the defender's rushing into the defender has a duty of care to try to make sure that the tackle is safe. And from that perspective, I agree. I put more on Taylan May because he had more sort of control over the outcome in that regard. So I think he should have been charged. Like, we've got careless high tackles and reckless this and all sorts of different charges, and you could put that in the careless/reckless category. So I think he should have got one of those types of charges.
Yeah.
How long he would get, I don't know, because there is the accidental element of it. But I think he should have at least been charged and got something for it, particularly when you think, and I know they shouldn't come into it, but Walsh is out for 6 weeks. Yeah. I know they shouldn't come into it too much, but I mean, he hit him with such force in the face that he's going to be out for an extended period. And you think he's probably the face of the game. If that face gets wrecked, he might not be the face of the game anymore. But yeah, I think he should have got charged. Yeah, true that. Yeah.
Yeah, so with that, as a defender, I guess you kind of that enforcement, and because it's the same with, and you guys mentioned it last year as well, they need to reward good tackle, good legs tackles, those kind of things, because again, it's like, oh crap, when they had that same problem around shoulder on head, it didn't take long for them to change that behavior and be able to move away from just reteaching them to drop lower, and so you don't see as much shoulder on head contacts anymore. They're being able to kind of pull that out of the game, and it's not something we talk about anymore. So yeah, I think the enforcement is probably the way to kind of get it out of the game, as much as it's accidental. We had those exact same examples I brought up last week: Cam McInnes on Famosili and Kamika Mikta on Tohu. reckless, but nothing happened a couple of weeks before, and now we're in this position.
Well, I don't know, bro. Like I said last week, and I'm not saying this about this May incident because I'm a Broncos fan, but that they're all different instances, and I think they shouldn't really have a blanket rule like the defenders. That it's up to the defender to make sure his head doesn't knock the ball carrier, because I think in a lot of instances it's really accidental, bro. The ball carrier, the defender doesn't mean for his head to hit, especially if the ball carrier's got late feet, which we did mention. That will initiate head contact, because sometimes the defender will drop his head, get ready for his shoulder to hit, the target, which could be the chest or around the hips or wherever. But the ball carrier's moved his head or put late step on him, and now his head's in line. All those instances you brought up, Kamitamita and was it McInnes? Cameron McInnes. That's accidental, bro. And I'm not kind of contradicting about bringing up the May, but the May incident is he's coming from far away. Walsh doesn't even see him coming, bro. It's a blind shot. So everything's May. He's got the ability to change his line or put his head on the side of Walsh's. You've seen a lot of wingers come in and smash fullbacks and not create head on head. So I don't know. I don't want to get to that point where it's blanket and fucking end up like Five Nations Rugby Union or just Rugby Union in general now, where these ridiculous calls where you're giving red card for anything that's head on head, because I really do think a lot of it's accidental. But that Broncos one, the May one, man, I can see how that kind of reckless on May from May's point of view. But the NRL.
I think the thing I think the thing, like you talk about that blank rule, but in Union, at least it's consistent. Because, like you're saying, like with what Tana's talking about, Kamitha is not getting anything. Now we're saying that Reece Walsh should get something. There's no consistency around the rulings. And you think, like I talked about this a bit earlier about Walsh getting 6 weeks on the sideline. If he got back up and there was nothing, I reckon no one would say anything about should he be charged or anything. And it's sort of, that's where it gets real inconsistent. And that's where I think I agree with your point about not getting like Union, because they've gone maybe a bit too far. But at least they know it doesn't matter if it's accidental or incidental or whatever. If you make contact with the head, you're going to get a charge. It might be a small charge, might be a small card, sort of just a yellow card, and that's it. It might be a 5-weeker, but if it's contact with the head, it is what it is. And I know that they did some studies where, and Peter V'landys brought this up of all people, where they'd had like a 30% reduction or something like that in head clashes in Union, and head contact in Union, just through this hard hand tactics of this hard line stance of any contact is a charge. So I think ultimately Rugby League wants to get to that point where they're getting it out of the game. And if you can have consistent rulings around charges and punishments, I think that will go a long way towards getting it out of the game. If we keep saying it's incidental and there's no consequences, guess what? It's going to keep on happening more.
Nice, boys. Before we move on from that game, 34-12, as much as you guys lost Reece Walsh, Nathan Cleary, those 2 tries he put on, man, he a magician, and he looked so good. What else did you see in that game, man?
Well, and there's no excuses. To give away 34 points is pretty it's pretty shoddy defense. But in saying that, I think it was early in the game, bro. So and Kevin Walter's got to think about this too. The bench cover, you can never find that person who can cover every single position. But